Hello, welcome to Jessie at Home. This is not a normal week for me, so this is not a normal post for me. Usually my videos are just knit and crochet patterns or tutorials, but today I'm going to give you a little tour of my basement and the work that I'm doing to renovate my little work area in the basement. My work area has been in my basement since we bought the house about 3 years ago, and there were some things. My basement is unfinished. It will probably be a few years at least before we have the finances to pay somebody to finish it, because we do not have the skills or the free time to finish it ourselves. However, there were a few alterations I knew that we could make that would make things a little nicer down here and make my workroom a little more efficient. I had just not been doing them because it required basically not being able to use my workroom for a week or two and moving lots of furniture and just things I didn't feel like having to deal with. But we had a little bit of a home improvement snafu a few days ago, and I really, for legal reasons, can't get into the details of the home improvement snafu, but we'll say that there were a couple options as to how it could be rectified, and I went with the option that allowed me to do the work myself, because I wanted to take advantage of the time of having everything removed from my workroom in order to do those renovations that I had been putting off, essentially. The short version is that everything in my basement was covered with soot. My basement essentially has one large room. Okay, so here is the one large room in my basement, okay, that is underneath the main section of my house. There is one little back room back in the 50s. My house was built in 1900. This is 115 years old. Back in the 50s, they built an addition onto the back of the house, and so there's a back room of the basement that we have been using for storage. That back room was fine because, as you can see, there's just that one little doorway there, and so no soot really got in there because it's sectioned off from the rest of the basement. What we had been doing up until Monday was this main section of my basement is essentially divided in half by the utilities. Right here is the chimney, here is the water heater, and then right in front of that water heater is our boiler. This half of the basement had been my workroom. The other half of the main basement, we had taken everything that Doug and I had collected over the years from the past 20 years since I moved out of my parents' house and have traveled the country, and you know, everything that's happened over the past 20 years, and things end up in boxes. We'd been storing things over on this side of the basement. So, you know, most of the stuff was in boxes and covered. So most of the stuff that had been stored is decently okay. And we had stored things back in this back room, but most of it had been pulled out because we recently cleaned out the back room and put in these little storage shelves. And we were going through everything slowly but surely, organizing it, labeling it, all of that. So that's what had started back here, but because of what happened over here, we had to take all of my stuff from my workroom, everything that was covered in soot, box it up, and move it back into this back room so that I can do the renovations in there, and then we'll pull everything out of the boxes and clean everything out and get it put back in there. So for now, this is my workroom down here. I obviously don't really work down here right now. I'm working upstairs in the living room, but this is when I'm down here working on the basement. I still like to have my computer with me, so whenever I need to sit down and take a break, I can come and you know, check my email, do whatever I need to do, come in here and get a sip of coffee. But this back room, it goes back pretty far here. And this is all the stuff that I had to pack up and remove from the other room in order to be able to do the renovations. So what I really want to do is I want to kind of tell you what our plans are, and then that way I'll do this video now, and then when everything is done, I'll do another video, and in between I'll take pictures and I'll share with you the process, because I thought it might be fun for you to get to see what's going to happen here and how it's going to happen. This wall, there's the bottom of my stairs, and this wall underneath the bottom of my stairs, there had been these really horrible storage shelf things. You can see the lumber from them. That was under here, and I just had paper boxes stacked up, and they were actually full of fabric because I used to be a costume designer, so I had about 20 copy paper boxes full of fabric that I'd collected over the years. I took all that down, tossed it back there, and now I'm left with this floor that is very uneven. I don't know if you can tell, but basically from about this line to the back, there's like a 6 to 10 inch difference here. Thankfully, the people who live right next door, the gentleman who lives there works professionally in concrete. So I chatted with him last night, and he's going to come over here in a couple of days, and he is going to make a little raised platform, a little step for me to make this even. So you can see right here is the highest point. And what we're going to do is run the platform across here, and it's going to just go from this point forward. It's not going to go underneath the stairs there because that part back there I don't really need to use. So it's going to go from about this corner. It's going to go across here to this corner. My hand's totally messing with the focus. And then it's going to run along this line all the way over. The last few inches we won't be able to do. It's probably going to be it's probably going to have to stop about a foot or so short of the wall because that's, I don't know, some sort of important clean out valve. So all I know is we're not supposed to cover it. So it'll stop just short of that, and it'll be a little raised lip. And when it's all done, I'll just have a little platform that comes, you know, right along here, right along this line, just basically from the edge of the stairwell all the way down this way. It'll be a raised platform that'll be nice and level on top, and I will put all of my yarn storage up there. Okay, I'm going to clean up, you know, old decrepit window, grossness. Going to put something to cover up the ceiling above it so as people walk, things don't fall down into my yarn storage. But that's all going to be yarn storage, which will be nice and lovely, and I've been wanting to do it for a while. You know, and then what we will do from there is I still need to finish. I'm almost done cleaning this area out. You can see there have been various forms of kind of making it look a little less icky down here. That wood paneling was here when we moved in. This stuff over here is actually industrial wallpaper. I got a giant roll of industrial wallpaper for like 25 bucks. It's almost like fabric. It's really, really thick. And I just had stapled it on. The reason it looks weird in places is there were various things covering it. So you couldn't actually see, you know, the patches and the bottom sections and everything like that. So I'll have to figure out what I want to do as far as the walls and the ceilings and everything down here goes. But this is basically, you know, the part that we're going to make look a little nicer for my workroom. They used to be hanging up until yesterday. These were the lights down here. And yesterday I went through and I changed out a few of the fluorescent lights for some can lights. I do know how to do a little bit of it's basic electric work, you know. I learned it because my father taught me, but you can probably learn how to change a light fixture from YouTube or something. As long as you get your electricity turned off, it's really easy to do. And I have the little box right there and the switch labeled for the basement ceiling. And of course, if you're going to do any electric work, even after you think you've turned it off, get one of those little things that checks the current to make sure that you're not about to electrocute yourself. And I am not endorsing you to do anything that's going to kill yourself, so please don't. Anyway, that's basically the basement here. This entire half is still going to be my half. It is going to be cool, and it is going to be awesome. And essentially what it comes down to is life has handed me a lot of crap throughout my life. I have had some awesome, wonderful, amazing things happen to me, and some pretty crappy things as well. And one of the things I've learned is that when you get the crappy things, the best way to deal with it is to find a way to make something of it, make the most of it. And this crappy thing of having to clean everything out of my work area and go through and clean everything and look at each individual item that was in my work area one at a time so I can make sure everything's clean before it gets put back in. The bright side here was, you know what? I'm going to take this time and fix my workroom. I'm going to make it more efficient for me, and I'm going to have a blast doing it. So, you know, as much as I hate the situation, and as much as this wasn't exactly on my schedule right now, I am really kind of excited about where this is going, about what's going to happen here. You know, the next few days I'm going to be having to do some cleaning because Mark, my neighbor, isn't going to be able to do this thing for a few more days. Possibly by the time this is posted, it might be done. But he's going to do that. I have to take down all that paneling and stuff back there so that he's not cementing it in. It's not exactly nice and level at the bottom. And, yeah, we're just going to basically go through this one step at a time. I'll take pictures along the way. And when it's done, it's certainly not going to be a finished basement. And it's certainly not going to be the long-term solution for me. But it is going to be where I'm going to be happy with it up until the point that we can afford to have the basement finished. So, lemon's lemonade, right? In case you're wondering about this whole soot situation. You see this bookshelf? Okay. This bookshelf was basically clean when this all happened. That's not dirt. Dirt is not black. That's soot. That is what was all over my office. So you can see here, wait, you ready for this? There you go. That's what happened on Monday, everywhere, all over my workroom. So that is essentially what I'm contending with. And I do want to take a moment to have put out a really big thank you to Unicorn Fibers. I'll give you a link in the post that goes along with this video. Probably today or tomorrow, I'm going to get a box from them with pretty much everything I'm going to need to rescue all of my yarn and all of my finished items that were covered in soot. And they are sending that to me as a donation to help me get everything worked out. And I want to send them a big thank you. I'm putting out a link for them. I'll write up a review once we're all done with the process. I'll show you some of those pictures and give you a review so you understand their products a little better. But I love their products and I love them. I met them in person back at the National Needle Arts Trade Show I went to a few months back. But anyway, I met them. They're wonderful people, and I want to give them a big thank you. So there you have it, and I hope you enjoyed the journey. Thanks.